You know that feeling, right? You're just driving along, minding your own business, and then, boom, that little check engine light pops up on your dash. Your heart kind of sinks a little bit. But what if you could turn that moment of panic into a plan of action? Well, that's exactly what we're going to do today.
So you do the smart thing. You grab your OBD2 scanner, you plug it in, and it spits out this jumble of letters and numbers. It looks more like a Wi-Fi password than an actual answer to your problem. And today, we're zeroing in on a really common one, P2096. Now, I know it looks intimidating, but trust me, by the time we're done here, you'll know exactly what this code is trying to tell you, what's likely causing it, and how you can start hunting down the fix.
All right, first things first, let's translate this thing from car computer speak into plain old English that we can all understand.
The official definition is Post-Catalyst Fuel Trim System Too Lean Bank 1. That is a total mouthful, I know, but each part tells us something important. Post-catalyst means the problem is being spotted after the catalytic converter. And too lean? Well, that just means there's too much air and not enough fuel in the exhaust mix. It's like trying to make a cake with way too much flour and not enough water.
So how does your car even know this? It has a little spy in the exhaust system called an oxygen sensor or an O2 sensor. Think of this sensor as the messenger. It's constantly sniffing the exhaust fumes, measuring how much unburnt oxygen is left, and reporting that info back to the car's main computer. That data is absolutely crucial for keeping the engine running efficiently.
So the bottom line is this. The car's computer is getting a message that bank 1 of your engine is running lean. Now you might be asking, what in the world is bank 1? It's simple, really. On an engine with two sets of cylinders, like a V6 or V8, bank 1 is just the side that has the number 1 cylinder. So this code is our first major clue, pointing us to a specific area of the engine.
Okay, so we know what the code means. Now for the fun part, playing detective. Where do we even begin to look for the cause? Well, like any good investigation, you always start with the most likely suspect. And for a P2096 code, the number 1 most common culprit, I'm talking like 9 times out of 10, is an exhaust leak. See, a tiny little crack or worn-out gasket in the exhaust system can suck in fresh air from the outside. This extra oxygen flows past the O2 sensor and completely fools it. The sensor tells the computer, hey, it's way too lean back here, when really, the engine itself might be perfectly fine.
So, how do you find one of these sneaky leaks? You gotta use your senses. First, listen. When you first start the car and the engine's cold, you might hear this weird ticking or puffing sound from under the car. Then, use your eyes. Get under there with a flashlight and look for any obvious cracks or heavy rust on the pipes. But the pro move, that's a smoke test. It pumps smoke into the exhaust and, you guessed it, wherever the smoke comes out, that's your leak.
But what if you've checked the exhaust from top to bottom and it's sealed up tight? No leaks to be found. Well, don't throw in the towel just yet. Our investigation just needs to go a little bit deeper.
Our list of other suspects starts with the messenger itself, that O2 sensor. It could just be old and tired, sending bad data back to the computer. Then you've got vacuum leaks. These are different because they let air in before the engine, which genuinely makes the engine run lean. After that, we look at the fuel side of things. Could be low fuel pressure from a weak pump, or maybe one of the fuel injectors is clogged and not spraying enough gas. And finally, a dirty mass airflow sensor could be telling the computer that less air is coming in than there actually is, causing the whole mixture to be lean.
Okay, with all those possibilities, how can you narrow it down, especially if you think it might be a fuel injector issue on just one cylinder? Well, there's a fantastic, kind of old-school diagnostic trick that can give you a massive clue.
All you have to do is check your spark plugs. Seriously, pull the plugs from bank 1. A plug that's black and sooty tells you that cylinder is getting too much fuel, it's running rich. But a spark plug that looks chalky and white, that, my friends, is the smoking gun. It's a dead giveaway that the cylinder is running lean, not getting enough fuel, and points you right towards a possible injector problem.
All right, we've lined up all the usual suspects. Now let's turn this into a clear step-by-step game plan, so you're not just running around in circles guessing.
Here is your roadmap to solving P2096. Step 1. Always check for other codes. They can give you extra clues. If it's just P2096, move to Step 2. Do a really thorough search for exhaust leaks. If you find nothing, then you move on to testing the O2 sensor itself. After that, you hunt for vacuum leaks. And finally, if all else fails, you start verifying your fuel pressure and checking your injectors. Following this order will save you so much time and frustration.
And this is the whole point, isn't it?
You don't just start throwing expensive parts at the problem hoping one of them sticks. By following a logical path, starting with the most common and easiest things to check, you turn this confusing, scary code into a puzzle that you can actually solve.
Woo! We have covered a lot of ground. So let's just take a breath and boil this all down to the absolute key things you need to walk away with. Think of this as your P2096 cheat sheet. First, P2096 means too lean on Bank One. Simple. Second, always start your investigation by looking for exhaust leaks. It is the #1 cause. Third, if the exhaust is solid, your next best bet is a faulty O2 sensor. And finally, the most important rule, always follow a step-by-step diagnostic plan.
See? That check engine light doesn't have to be some big, scary mystery. When you break down the code and follow a clear, logical path, you take back control of the situation. So it kind of leaves you with one final thought. Now that you've got the framework, what's the next car problem you're ready to solve yourself?